right, so good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Oh my goodness. Are you awake already? Come on. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Yeah, a little bit better. Okay. Welcome, everyone. It's a pleasure to have all of you here. We're going to have today Teresa talking about criticism. It is good or bad? Let's learn about it with Teresa today. But before we do that, we're going to have our dear friend Katarina to do the initial reading and prayer. Right? Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So the message today says, grant your fellow man the same rights and favors that you expect from him. Selfishness is an illness that poisons the soul. The friend at your side yearns for the same spaces to live in as you do. Remember not to deny him the opportunity. Learn to share what's yours. And let's meditate on the message today. Learning to share, learn to wish for the ones next to us exactly the same thing that we want for ourselves. Usually we want the best for us, the best opportunities, the best treatment, love and care. So let's consolidate the message today in our hearts and look to the ones around us and give the best we can without expectations, sending love and peace. And one day, maybe everyone is going to be doing the same, and we're going to be able to just fill our hearts with love and happiness. Let's keep this happiness and light in our hearts and be together sending the best energy to our friend Teresa, who is going to give us the lecture today. Thank you, and so be it.
All right, good morning. It's good to have you all here. So the theme today is criticism. And as always, I always like to start with a question. Is it good or bad? So who thinks that criticizing the others is bad? And who thinks it is good? Actually, that's a good answer. It depends. We tend to see criticism as something bad, something that we should not do, or it's bad to criticize people. But the truth is, it depends. If it's done in the right way, it actually can be a good thing. If it's done with the right intention, it can be a good thing. And I think the reason we think it's bad is because, in general, we don't do it in the right way. So over time, criticism just became something very negative, because we transform criticism, in something very negative. So let's take a look at what the dictionary tells us. What's the meaning of the word criticism? So there's two main meanings for this word. So the first one is the expression of a disapproval of someone or something based on previous faults or mistakes. That's usually the one that we all do, right? We see something, we see a snapshot, and we label the situation right away, or we label the person, right? That doesn't look good to me, and I label right there as something. Also, I judge. So when we look at the first one, this expression of disapproval, that's the moment when the criticisms become judging, and even judging not in a good way, right? I just see a situation, and that's it. So just giving an example. When I got my current job about 6 years ago, I was new. It's my first week there, my first few weeks. And there was this lady, one of the administrators, that I used to cross with her. Like, I have 3 seconds interaction with her every morning. That's everything. Because then she goes to her office and I go down to my floors to work. But every morning I would pass by her and would say, good morning. And she would not answer me. But she not only wouldn't answer me, but she had like this grumpy face, like really like almost, even wouldn't look at my face. First day, it's okay, everybody's entitled to have a bad day. I have lots of them. Okay. Second day, same thing. Third, fourth. What did I do? I criticized. And I decided, you know what? This person is just a grumpy person. right? What she was doing disapproved me. I didn't like it. And I labeled her right there, grumpy. And I even remember thinking to myself, like, how can someone live with themselves, be in a bad mood every single day? Because having bad days, it's one thing, but every single day, first week, second week, like, holy. But I said, you know what? It is the way she is, and that's okay. About a month or two after I'm working there, we all get this email. It's with sadness I would like to inform that So-So's mother just passed away after battling cancer for 2 years. My face. Is she grumpy? Is she in a bad mood every day? No, she has a dying mother with cancer. So what did I do? I judged, I criticized, I saw a snapshot in time. Because my interaction with her is 3 seconds. 3 seconds in the morning. And I already labeled this person as grumpy, bad mood, and everything. And that's when criticism is very bad. Unfortunately, that's what we do most of the time. We label people and situations without knowing anything. We see a little piece of the story, and we think we have the right already to judge. Because that's what I did right there. I judged her. Right? That's what we do. And we got so used to do it, and that's what we do all the time, that's why criticism became something that now sees something negative. Because we did transform it in something negative. That's what we do all the time. Use it just to judge people without even knowing anything. But luckily, there's a second meaning to criticism, and it's the second one here. It's the analysis and judgment of the merits and faults of a literary or artistic work. Here's it talking about artistic and work and literary, but we can easily translate to our daily lives. So for example, scientific paper. We talk, and I'm going to be talking to people who are serious scientists, right? When you give them a paper, you write a paper, you do your research, you write a paper, and then you need people to review your paper. You give to them, and what they're gonna do is have a scientific mind, look at the paper, they're gonna read, and they're gonna criticize, but criticize in the sense of analysis, of sense of looking, okay, how this was done, what's the methodology, do I have enough data here, not, does the methodology and the results match what this person put as a conclusion? No, that's what they're gonna do, right? And then with all the data in hand, then they can look at the paper and say, yeah, this is actually a good paper, it should be published. And it's like, no, I think it's missing a few things in here. Maybe I need more details about the methodology. Maybe I need something else here that needs to be corrected. Okay. Same thing with artistic work. So movie critics, what do? Do they get the title of the movie and say, oh, this is a bad movie, 1 star, that's it? Or they do like me, oh, that actor is in there, I'm not even gonna see it. Because that's what I do. I have some specific actors, if they're in the movie, I don't care. And some people say, oh, but the movie is really good. I don't care, he's in the movie, it's terrible. Terrible actor, I'm not watching the movie, right? That's what the critics do. What do? They look at the title, they watch the movie, they look at the story. Is this an original story? It's not an original story. What's the scenography, soundtrack, the acting, quality, everything. And then they decide, oh, this is a 2 star, 5 star, 3 star, 4 star. That's what they do. They collect information before they can criticize, right? Is that what we do? No, we didn't. No. Because if I go back to my example, I was new in the work, right? I didn't know this person from before. This person has been working there for many years, and I have colleagues that have been working there for many years. Couldn't I just go into one of my colleagues and say, hey, so was like that? Because every morning I go and I say good morning. And probably they'll say, oh, you know what? Actually, she's not like that. In fact, what it is, she's probably not in a good mood because her mom is passing away. Her mom's with cancer, and that's what it is. And then instead of labeling grumpy and someone in a bad mood, I would have actually felt compassion for her. I was like, oh, now I understand. And maybe even doing a prayer for her, which is probably the most that I could do at the time. But I didn't. And that's not what we do most of the time. We do not get information before we criticize. Because if we do that, I can guarantee in most of the times when someone makes a mistake or does something that we don't like or whatever it is, if we gather all the information and really understand why and why not and what really led this person and everything, most of the time, probably 90% of the time, would be more prone to act with compassion, tolerance, and patience. Because maybe we're going to start to say, hey, if I was in the same situation, probably would have done exactly the same. I don't know if I would have done better. Maybe I would, but maybe not, if I was exactly in the same situation. But unfortunately, that's not what we do, right? Because if we did, instead of judging and pointing fingers, we would be actually treating each other with a bit more compassion and tolerance. And then there is a third type of criticism that is a combination of both, that we're very good at doing as well. Very good. Is I pretend I'm doing the second type, but I'm actually doing the first one. So it's when I really don't like the person, or I really wanted to prove my point. So I look at all data, but just to prove my point that this person's in a bad mood, or this person's mean, or this person's whatever. So I pretend I'm looking at the data, I'm pretending I'm trying to be understanding, that I'm trying to really understand the situation, but in the end, I actually just really trying to get all the data to prove my point. So I'm biased. So the moment I'm gonna go take a look at what's happening, I'm already biased, right? So actually what I'm trying to do is exactly the first one. I'm just trying to criticize and say, I don't care what is the situation, that's who you are, right? So we're just pretending. We're very good at this one as well. Very good. Because we're very good at masking our inner defects in there, our inner vices. So, very good. I don't know if you guys like to watch Big Bang Theory. I love it. So there's one time that Sheldon's, who's this guy who thinks more intelligent than everybody else, and someone publishes a paper that apparently proves something that he couldn't prove before. So he's like, no. And so he reads and says, I'm going to read this paper because I'm gonna find a mistake in here. So he already goes biased. So he's reading, not because he's interested in what the other person, he's reading because he wants to, I'm going to find a mistake, and that's it. The problem is that he reads the paper, and the paper is flawless, right? Lucky for him, because he's a very rational and scientific mind, at the end he goes, rats, it's flawless. There's no mistakes in here. So he assumes that, the other guy is good. But that's not what we do, because we don't have the scientific and super rational mind. We're still normally very attached to our emotions and to our vices. So most of the time we see stuff that it's good on other people. Good actions, because that's even worse. It's not when someone does something bad and we criticize right away. How many times someone does something good and we criticize anyways? We find a way to find something wrong or something, to put it down, a good action, to judge. Oh, he did this, but, he did because we have a because. No, he did because the person did something good, that's it. And maybe we're just jealous. That wasn't us, right? We're very good at judging, but very bad at doing what I call critical analysis, looking at the situation. And if someone did something wrong, if you do a critical analysis with the intention of helping, that's fantastic. Because then you can call your friend on a side and say, hey, remember when you did that? Don't you think maybe you could have done a different way? I think what you did, maybe had hurt someone. So use that analysis, the moment of criticism, to being what we call constructive criticism. something to help people to improve themselves. That's the good criticism. It's the one that we look at the data, we look everything that happened, try to put ourselves in their shoes and think, am I better than or not? And also the one that we use it to help the other to grow, to maybe bring them awareness for something that they did. Same thing with ourselves, right? Let's look at ourselves and treat ourselves a little bit more tolerance and patience. Let's do a critical analysis of our mistakes. And not just punishing ourselves and label ourselves already as a guilt and that's it. Because that's not going to help at all. So up to here, I just got the dictionary. That's the only thing that I did. I got the dictionary, saw what the word means, and tried to be a little bit of analysis of our attitudes and what we do on a daily basis. I didn't brought Jesus yet, I didn't brought the gospel, anything. It's just a rational analysis of what the word means and what we do on a daily basis. Would that be enough? Yes. At this point where we are, even if we stop in here, if we can change just from here, would be amazing. So see how we can even talk about the subject without even talking about religion with someone out there? It's easy to talk. Because sometimes we don't want to talk about subjects. No, I don't know, because I cannot talk about Spiritism. I don't want to not even talk about religion. Just talk about ethics pretty much in here. Right? But we have to bring the gospel. Right? That's what we're here for. So there are two passages from the gospel, and they're very famous passages. I think everybody knows them. One's in Matthew, and one is in John. And both those passages, that's exactly what they talk about. They talk about judging. So I'm going to read the passage from Matthew, and it says, "Do not judge, so that you may not be judged. For in the same way that you judge others, you will be judged. And with the measure by which you measure, you will be measured. Why do you see the speck in your brother's eyes, but do not notice the plank on your own? Or how can you say to your brother, 'Let me take the speck out of your eye,' when there is a plank in yours?" So basically it's telling here, who are we to judge each other? Are we all on the same level? And sometimes we're trying to correct mistakes on the others, and we forget that we have our own mistakes. Okay. And then the passage from John, I'm going to bring both passages, and then we're going to talk about them together, because they pretty much both bring the same message. So the passage from John is also a very, very famous passage that I think everybody knows. It's the one that Jesus is walking, and then the Pharisees come, pretty much dragging this woman, and they kind of want to test Jesus. So they come, they all have stones in their hands, and they're dragging her in public, on the streets, and they go to Jesus and say, "Jesus, this woman was found sleeping with a man that's not her husband. The law says that she should be killed by stoned to death. That's what Moses' law says. What do you think we should do?" And Jesus doesn't answer anything. Just bends over, and with his fingers starts to write on the ground. So they insist. "So, what do you think? What we should do with her?" And that's the moment when Jesus stands up and he says the famous phrase that everybody knows. "If any of you have never sinned, then go ahead and throw the first stone at her." He bent it over and kept writing on the ground. All of them slowly start to drop their stones and walk away, starting with the oldest. So the oldest man there is the first one to drop his stone and walk away. Probably had more time to sin more. And they all leave. Jesus looked at the woman and say, "Where are your persecutors?" And she goes, "They all left." And it says, they didn't judge you, and neither do I. So just go and don't sin anymore, right? And then she leaves. Some of the people who study the Bible, like specialize in studying the Bible, says that what Jesus was writing on the ground was actually the sins of the men that were around. Thief, adulteress, remember? You want to stone her to death for adultery. Adulteress, thief. And just that's what it's doing. So saying, who are you to stone her to death? So both of those passages, they bring very, very important concept about judging. And now I'm going to talk about judging and criticizing in the way that we normally do. Pointing finger, right? First, what they do, both of the passages, is to make it very, very clear that we are all on the same page. We're all on the same page. There's nobody here really much better than anybody. That's what it says. Because if there's any of us here who was really much better, probably won't be incarnated on planet Earth. Probably being serious with Alcione from Renuncia, from the book Renunciation, right? We're not. So if you're all incarnated here on this planet of expiation, it means we more or less are all on the same level. The difference is, maybe I have learned to be a little bit more patient, but the other one maybe learned to be a little more tolerant. The other maybe learned to be a little bit more forgiving. So in certain aspects, we may be a little bit better than each other. But in general, when you put in the scale, we are all the same. So we have no right to point fingers at each other. Right? Yeah, maybe I don't have the courage to grab a gun and shoot someone. But I have the courage to do other stuff. I have the courage to be impatient towards people. I do not forgive, even a small thing. Right? How many family fights we have, like families, like parents with kids or with brothers that don't talk to each other for years and age. And when you're gonna talk, it's like, how did it start? You know, like, because this little thing, like one little misunderstanding, and then people already not forgiving each other, and they don't talk to each other for years, right? Oh, but I'm much better than the guy who grabbed a gun and killed someone. Well, really? Are we really? Are we really better than an obsessor spirit? Because that's probably in the scheme of Spiritism that we see like the less evolved spirit is the obsessor. Are we better than they are? No. Can guarantee to you we're all exactly on the same level. The difference is that the obsessor is a spirit that at some point in time got hurt so bad, that maybe if I got hurt in the same level, I would be in the same stage. Because when we talk with them, the majority, especially when it's personal, like the obsessor that comes behind some personal, usually it's because the person they're obsessing took away something very important from them, killed someone from their family in a previous life, or someone that they love immensely and this person abandoned them. So they're just someone that's hurting. Are we free? Can we say 100% I'll never become an obsessor? I can't know, because I know it's not right. I'm a spiritist, I have the knowledge. Can we? Really? Are you sure if it's tomorrow someone kills someone from your family, very close, one of your child, that you not maybe be at risk at becoming an obsessor? Being so angry and so much pain. Because believe me, we all have the characteristics inside of us. We all do. It's a plan of expiation. It's just that we need to be grateful that we haven't been put to a situation to test our faith in that level. But honestly, an obsessor spirit, the guy who just killed 10 people, and us, we carry inside of us the good and the bad in the same way. And we carry exactly the same vices. Maybe we are a speck ahead just because now we learn how to contain a little bit more our instincts, our animal instincts of killing, of this and that. But then again, I don't know if God really pushes my limits, would I cross the line or not? I don't know. Don't test me, please. Right? That's what it is. So that's what Jesus is bringing to us here in those two passages. We are all in the same level. We're not better than anybody else. In fact, in the book Boa Nova, which unfortunately is not translated to English, I hope it does because it's a fantastic book. Would be in English probably Good News, I think. Is psychographed by Chico Xavier, by the spirit of Humberto Campos. And what's interesting about this book is that it brings many passages from the gospel, but seen by the spiritual plan. So it's given to Humberto de Campos. It's almost like go to the archive there and watch the videos of what happened actually during those passages in the spiritual, from the spiritual world. So you'll see the same passages that you read in the gospel now with more details, and some of the conversations that happen during those passages that we won't read in the gospel. In one of the passages, exactly, the passage from John. And there was a conversation between John and Jesus right after what happened, because when Jesus tells to the woman, saying, just go, they didn't judge you, I'm not going to judge you either, John actually comes and questions Jesus. He says, Master, but she did sin. Like she did make a mistake. So she actually deserved the punishment. It's not like they're trying to punish her for something that she didn't do, being unjust or anything. So, and it says, and the law is very clear that she made a mistake and she should be stoned to death. Jesus looked at John and says, first of all, we have no idea what led her to do what she did. Do you know her life story? Do you know what kind of a marriage she has? Do we know how she has been treated by her father, brothers, and all the men around her since her childhood? Do we know if she has a loving husband or not, if maybe someone who doesn't even care for her, doesn't give her any attention? Or maybe she just did it because, you know, she had foolish dreams and let it go. But the truth is, do we know her? Do we know the reasons why she was led to make this mistake? We don't. So it's going back to what we were talking about. Do we have all the data to judge her? That's the first thing he says to John. He says, we don't. So how can we label her already and punished and everything? Second thing he says to John, he's because John says like this, so she should be paying for this, because doesn't the law says that we're going to pay cent by cent for all our mistakes? Because in John's mind was, she made a mistake, she should have been punished, because it says we're all going to pay cent by cent for every mistake. So being punished would be her paying for what she did wrong, because that's what the law says. They're going to pay cent by cent for our mistakes. So Jesus tells John, who said that she's not going to pay? Don't you think that her action by itself, by choosing what she just chose to do, is not going to automatically bring enough consequence that's going to punish her? We are in 2018. 2018. And until this day, in certain areas of this planet, if a woman does what this woman did, they will be kicked out of their houses, and they will be treated and banished by society and be treated like prostitutes. 2018. It's happening right at the neighbors. And when I say neighbor, I'm not talking about just US, I'm talking about the planet, because we're all neighbors. It happens this day. We're talking about over 2,000 years ago. What's going to happen with this woman? who was dragged on the streets. The whole community knows now what she did, that she's an adulterous woman. And that's what Jesus tells him. Her choice, it is already going to bring enough punishment to her. This woman will never have a husband again, will never be loved again. She's going to be banished by society, treated as the worst garbage in society because what he did. Isn't that enough punishment? Why do we need to add to her suffering? That's what he tells John. Why? Because that's what we do. When we label people, when we judge them, we don't even know what they're going through. Why? That's what we're doing, just adding to the suffering. Can you imagine if I had, thank God I didn't do, can you imagine if I had gone to them and say, hey, you're always in a bad mood, huh? Can't you just say good morning once in a while? Like, you know, would I be actually adding to her suffering? Because now she's suffering her problems, and now have me putting her finger in the face and say, you're someone grumpy. Which probably is what she doesn't want to be. And actually she's not. She's super chit-chatty. And it's funny because 2 months after, she was super chit-chatty, talking. She's like, good morning, everyone. That's who she is. But that moment, I would just make her suffer even more. That's what we do. That's what we're very good at doing. Labeling, judging, and increasing people's pain instead of helping, right? The second thing that this passage brings to us is the concept that only God can judge us. Only God can judge us. When Jesus says, don't judge to be judged, he's talking about God. So don't judge so God won't judge you. And the way you judge people, that's the way that God's going to judge you. And even here on the second passage, Jesus didn't judge her either. Because he knew, like, who am I to judge her? It's up to God. I said, but Jesus, pure spirit, never did anything wrong. Never? Because he started just like us. Simple, ignorant. He may never have done any sin or anything, be a pure spirit for maybe a few millions of years. But how about his past? He started just like us. And he knows it. So he didn't judge either. Because he knows it's up to God to judge. Right? And sometimes we think that, oh, but you know what? I know this person my whole life. I know this person for 30 years. So I can judge them because I know them really well. Really? Really? Okay. So what's 30? Let's put even 60 years. What is 60 years compared to, let's say, about 5,000 years? Because think that we're here for a while already in this planet of expiation, but we already passed by planets of primitive planets before we could get in here. Let's say we were created like 5,000 years ago. Which is 60. What is 60 years compared to 5,000? It's equivalent to my 3 seconds interaction with the admin in the morning. So do we really know this person? So even the fact that I know this person for a long time and I know everything that went in their lives and everything, that I do have the right to judge and criticize? No. Because we don't know what kind of experience, trauma, learning, anything that this person brought from previous lives. Or just the last one. I'm not talking about the bunch that we have, it's just the last one. We don't know what kind of experience we had in the spiritual plan before we incarnated. Before we reincarnated. We don't. We don't. So to think that because I know someone for a long time, it actually gives me the right to judge, no, it doesn't. Because you don't know anything about this person, actually. You know a little snapshot of their life. Because that's what this incarnated life is. It's a snapshot on this long, long, long life that we have been having. So it's very wise when Jesus says that only God can judge. Because who's the only being in this universe that has watched the whole movie? Knows the whole story. From the creation until this moment that I'm standing here right now. It's God. He's the only one. There's no one else on this universe that knows the whole story. No one else. So doesn't it make sense now? It's only God can judge, because He's the only one who knows it. But we like to play God and think we know everything and think we can judge and we can point fingers. Luckily, though, is that even though God judges us, He doesn't judge us in the same way that we do. Right? Like, lucky for us, because even though Jesus said, you know, the way that you measure, you're going to be measured, and the way that you judge, you're going to be judged, we're very lucky that God does not treat us in the same way that we treat people when we judge them. What Jesus is trying to say is that whatever you do, you're actually doing to yourself. Right? So when I'm judging someone and doing something, that eventually is going to come back to me. But not because God's going to punish me, but because whatever I do, for every action, there is a reaction. And physics already explains that if I throw a ball on the wall, it's going to come back to me with the same intensity that I threw is going to bounce and come back to me. Physics explains that it's action and reaction. That's what they're only saying. So what Jesus is really trying to say is not be careful with what you do because God's going to punish you. He's trying to say is like, be careful because there's a law called action and reaction. And whatever you do to the others, you're actually doing to yourself. So you're going to suffer the consequence of what you're doing. That's the only thing that he's saying there. So don't judge. Maybe help. Maybe do a critical analysis and see now what can I help this person, right? Because what God really does, his way of judging, he judges through love. He judges through tolerance. And he judges through tons of patience. Let's be honest, you need tons to deal with us, right? Tons of patience. So how he judges or how he punishes is through education. That's what he does. He gives us opportunity of educating ourselves. He gives us opportunity for renewal. He gives opportunity of fixing everything that we have done wrong. He doesn't say, oh, you did this, that's it, now I'm going to punish you and I'm going to stay in hell forever, for eternity. That God doesn't exist anymore. Actually never existed. And this kind of a God does not rationally fit our society anymore. It makes no sense. Because either you teach that God's pure love and justice, or you teach then that he keep people forever being suffering and punished forever. Because those two concepts don't go together anymore. Right? They don't. And a loving father will never punish someone forever. There's a lot of people here who have kids. Do you punish your kid forever when they do a mistake? That's it. You're going to go to your room and you only come back when you discarnate now. So you're punished forever. If you really, really mean parents, a couple of hours in the room. Most of parents, after half an hour, they sink their hearts like, oh, poor kid, and bring them out, right? So if as imperfect beings, we already don't punish our kids forever. We just give enough what? To re-educate them, right? Enough for them to think about what they did. Enough for them to think, hey, whatever you do, there's a consequence, and you're going to have to put up with that consequence. Isn't that what we do? If we're doing good parenting, right? If we don't let your kid go with everything, because we have. But that's usually what we do. We punish them enough as a way of them learning. So we give them a learning opportunity. We call them punish, but actually what you're doing with your kids, giving them a learning opportunity of rethinking, of learning that there's consequence for what they do. So why we think that God, who's pure love, and pure love in a sense, because we think we know what love is, we're far away to understand the true meaning of what love is. Right? I think we have started to have a scratching the concept in our level of evolution. So why would think that a being that's pure love would punish us forever? Would criticize? He would do the first one. He wouldn't even do a critical analysis, because that's what he would do. He wouldn't even do a critical analysis. He would look and say, you did this mistake, that's it. You're punished forever. Instead of looking and saying, well, I know you did this mistake in here, but if I'm looking on your chart here, all the back here, I know it happened this with you, this. I know what your difficulties. I know what your moral difficulties, because we all have our moral difficulties. He knows it. I know that this task that I gave to you, I knew you had the capacity to go through, but I know it's hard. Because that's your weakness. Your moral weakness is right there. But that's okay. I'm going to put you in the situation again, and again, and again. To educate slowly, until we get it, and we make the change. So we're very lucky, because that's what God does to us. He re-educates. He gives us a chance of a restart, renewal, learning. That's how he punishes us. But that's not how we punish the others. We punish them by accusing, labeling, criticizing, and everything. Right? Imagine if we start to get a little bit of this concept and start to analyze, criticize in terms of analyzing, and see what can I do to help this person who, yes, may made a mistake, but so do I. I make mistakes all the time. And we really forget that in the same way they would like to be forgiven for what we have done, and if I had made a major mistake in my life, they would like to have someone, grabbing my hand and pushing me up instead of criticizing me and pushing me, pointing fingers. We would start to do that to the others, right? But we forget. We forget that. We forget, as Kata said in the beginning, and as she was reading, we forget to give to the others the treatment they would like to be giving to us. Does anybody here likes to be criticized in terms of judging? And fingers point. Anybody here likes when you make a mistake, someone comes and say, you really bad person, you did this. Does anybody here likes? Because if you do, I have a good psychologist I can send you to. But I don't think we like. What we like is when we make a mistake, is to have someone handing a hand to us and saying, yeah, this one you made wrong, but let's go, let's fix it. Or we like someone with a sincere intention of helping us come and help us to make a critical analysis of the situation, saying, that thing that you did wasn't cool, but it's okay. Maybe next time, try it, but with really good intention of bring us awareness to what we did and help us to grow. Isn't that what we like to receive? So let's give. Because if you give, we are going to receive. That's what Jesus said. Don't judge so you won't be judged. So maybe if we stop judging and start to do more critical analysis and try in a way of helping and understanding and putting ourselves on other people's shoes, trying to be a little bit more tolerant, that's what we're going to get back. Because if I start to do that and you start to do that and start to do that, all of a sudden we're doing it to each other. And that's much better. That is much better. So in the end, as you can see, criticism can be a good thing. So this concept that we have that don't criticize, it's bad. No, depends how we do. It is a good thing if we use it as a tool to do the good and to help others. So just to end, I want to leave us with a phrase from Chico Xavier. It says, to the others I give the right of being exactly who they are. To myself I give the obligation of being better each day. So let's accept the others the way they are. Let's not point fingers. And if anything, let's look inside of ourselves and see what I can better inside of me. Right? Like Jesus said, why do you see a speck on someone's eyes but don't see the plank on our own? So let's do that. Let's the other be who they are. And if anything, let's help them to be a little bit better. But most of all, if you want to criticize someone, criticize with love and tolerance yourself. And see what we can do to better ourselves every day. Including criticizing less in a judging way. Thank you.
Thank you, Teresa, for the lecture. We do, wow, a lot of people arrived after we started.
Yes, I know.
We do have time for a few questions or comments. If anyone have any, or anyone in the internet as well, if there is a question or any comment, please just let us know. Anyone? Anyone? Want to criticize the lecture?
In the good way.
In the good way, of course.
With love.
With love, yeah.
I just want to say, there is a passage, I'm trying to remember, but my pregnant brain doesn't work, from the Gospel according to Spiritist, that talks exactly about it. And I think it says that to criticize in a good way someone, you actually need to be someone actually very close to that person, someone the person respects and likes enough to, so the person is able to actually receive
Exactly.
the critic.
Mm-hmm.
I had a personal experience because I'm such a great person. A friend of mine came from once and invited me for a coffee with a list of things I should change myself.
Wow.
I have to tell you, years later when I told my therapist I was doing therapy, she was like, whoa, how do you get over it? I was like, I couldn't sleep for days. So she was not a best friend. She was like, somebody who go out, we know each other. So it really hurt me so much. My mind was like going. And maybe if the list had come from somewhere else, I wouldn't have the same reaction. So that's why I know there's something in the gospel that talks about it. So be careful who you're giving the criticism to, right? Even if it's with the best intention.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just before you comment, to make sure that people in the internet could hear what Katarina just said, she was reminding us about in the Gospel according to Spirit Proper, there is a piece that talks about criticism and that we need to do that for people that are closer to us. And she brought a situation that happened to her, which was a friend, a colleague, someone that was she knew, and the person came with a list of things that she should change, and she spent some nights awake thinking about it. So, thank you.
So you're right. And actually, in fact, the gospel and the book Life Goes On that we're reading now this summer talks about that. It actually even brings the passage from Matthew in the book. It says, for you to criticize someone, you have to have a moral ascendance over this person, right? Since we don't have here amongst us, we should not criticize, we should try to help. If someone came with a whole list, that's not, like literally, I spend my time, I have to spend my time looking at someone saying this. So what this person did is what I said they were very good at to do. It looks like I'm doing the second one, that I'm doing a critical analysis, but actually what I'm doing is just criticizing, judging right there. Because a good friend, a close friend, would never make a list. Someone who has a good intention would never make a list. Who am I to make a list of someone else's vices or mistakes? Like, who am I? So it starts right there, right? So was this person really trying to help? Or was this person just had its own agenda and decided, I need to fix that person? Maybe if she had looked at the same list that she did and applied to herself, probably check, 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 and check. So I agree with you. I would never go to someone that I'm not close enough to do something, right? To say something. Hey, it has to be, of course. And it has to be also because of the level of moral evolution that we are right now. We still get to... It's hard for us to accept criticism. It's hard for us to accept that we're not as nice as we think we are. very hard. So when it comes from someone that we don't have that close relationship, it's hard. It hurts. It really is. So it is also fun, and that's okay. And that's okay. But it is hard. So yeah, be very careful, because even if your intention is good, but you do not have a close relationship with this person, depending what you wanted to point it out, it can hurt instead of helping. And please don't do lists, because we really don't have the right to do lists, because we're not even close to have the moral right to do lists, because that's not trying to help, right? That is definitely, there's no, and some people will do anything they're really helping, they are not, right? Because they even stop to really think what they're doing. So definitely, depending on what it is. I had actually remember once someone came, we were doing this tour, group of people, and I did something, and this person came, who I met in the tour, and came and told me, you know what you did back in there? You're actually judging. And he was right. What he pointed out was something that happened right there during the tour. He did in a very nice way. Was my pride he didn't like to hear, but I didn't get offended or anything, right? But maybe if he had come and tried to point out something even deeper or something like, sorry, I don't know you, right? But so it depends what it is, we need to be careful, right? Because then we're not really helping, we're hurting people, because we do not own the truth. We do not own the truth. So I agree with you. Yeah.
And one thing that came to my mind as we're having this discussion is that we live in a society today with the social media, where we're putting everything out there for others to thumbs up, thumbs down, right? If it's good, it's bad. We have that, right? We are all living that society today. So we're gonna be criticized no matter what, not only for people close to us, but people that we even don't know. Right? So this lecture will be in YouTube. Teresa can receive thumbs up and thumbs down on that. She can take that. So it's also important for us. We're gonna block the thumbs down.
We're gonna block the thumbs down, yeah.
But we need to learn how to receive those criticisms, right? How we deal with that, because we're in this lab for a few nights. So should we be so worried about what other people are telling about us, right? And that's where the Gospel according to Spiritism brings to us on the chapter Be Perfect, that we need to analyze ourselves. We need to do our own criticism. And then what other people will tell us, we can say, yes, I know this, and I'm working on this. Or we can say, well, this person doesn't know anything about me. Whatever, move on.
Yeah.
Right? And how we're gonna deal with that.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a good point. Because even when people come to tell you something like happened with you, it's just her opinion. It's the opinion of someone who doesn't even know you well, doesn't know your story or anything. But that means that now I don't listen to people and they say something to me. No, but we should take it and do an analysis. Oh, this person said that I was selfish. Am I selfish? Actually, you know what? Yeah, that day I was. The situation I am. So take it, analyze, and see what fits and what doesn't fit, right? That's what St. Augustine always says, Look through your day at the end of the day and see what you did. Do your auto-analysis. What can I change or not, right? And then it's true, because then when someone comes to tell, like, I already know, and I'm working on it, right? So maybe offend us a little bit less as well.
Any other comments or questions? All right, so thank you very much, Teresa. Thank you everyone watching us through the internet. We're gonna get now to the passes. For those watching to the internet, we're gonna end the transmission now. Please go ahead and do your own final prayer. Okay, thank you.